We just can't make it up. Let's begin. The article says that Richard Sharp has resigned as chairman of the BBC to prioritise the interests of the broadcaster. The former Goldman Sachs banker, rhymes with, faced accusations that he arranged a loan of up to £800,000 for Boris Johnson before the then Prime Minister backed him to lead the BBC. He was announced as the government's choice for the chairman's role in January 2021. This morning, though, Adam Hempstall, hope I pronounced that right, KC's 25-page report to the appointment of Mr Sharp as BBC chairman failed to disclose potential perceived conflicts of interest. In response, though, Mr Sharp said he will remain in the role until the end of June, while the search for a successor takes place. He said, Mr Hempstall's view is that while I did breach the guidance code for public appointments, he states that a breach does not necessarily invalidate an appointment. Indeed, I have always maintained the breach was inadvertent and not material, which the facts he lays out substantiate. The Secretary of State has consulted with the BBC board, who support that view. Nevertheless, though, I have decided that it is right to prioritise the interests of the BBC. Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey said that the BBC was being dragged through the mud by the Conservatives. Responding, though, to Mr Sharp's resignation, he said, the British people won't stand for any more of this. Boris Johnson should never have been allowed to appoint Richard Sharp in the first place, and what's worse is Rishi Sunak didn't show leadership by sacking him. Meanwhile, though, Tim Davie, Director General of the BBC, paid tribute to the outgoing candidate. He said, on behalf of the BBC executive, I would like to thank Richard for his service to the BBC and the drive and intellect he brought to his time as chairman. The focus for us all at the BBC is continuing the hard work to ensure that we deliver for audience both now and in the future. Well, do you know what? That must be the mother of all coincidences, guaranteeing an £800,000 loan for your, I'm guessing, friend, because let's face it, who else would you guarantee that sort of money for? And then coincidentally, you just land a job at the BBC a little while later, which of course the then Prime Minister had, I'm guessing, a bit of say in the matter. Couldn't possibly be another government brushed under the carpet, could it? No, don't be silly. This isn't the Labour Party after all. Seriously though, it does make you think, does it? Nevermore has the phrase been true that it's not what you know, it's who you know. Especially, of course, I don't know, if you could do a little tiny favour first, it seems. And all that stuff Tim Davie said about the BBC needing to deliver more. Let's face it, they needed to have done that for quite a while now, even with Richard Sharp as chairman. But I'll tell you what, BBC, I've got a fantastic idea for you. How about you actually get rid of your TV licence? And that'll be delivering quite a lot more for the public, especially the OAPs, who, let's face it, for quite a lot of them, and other people of course, £13.25 a month is actually quite a lot of money for some people, and that is before, of course, it raises to £172 a year next year, if of course reports are to be believed. And to be honest, it makes me wonder who's going to be next for the job, but something tells me that their appointment is going to be watched quite closely this time. But then again, of course, it does seem that Rishi Sunak, let's just say, knows how to arrange a few things of his own, especially when his wife's non-dom status or childcare companies are involved, it seems. So who knows, maybe the next chairman might actually be a woman, and there's no surprising who that might be. And no, certainly not Emily Thornberry, although I bet she'd love the job. But we heard today as well that the BBC apparently are holding 60-second speed dating style interviews for radio BBC employees to keep their jobs. I mean, how harsh is that? So I guess they could always use one of them people and save a bit of TV licence payers money on redundancies, although something tells me they won't. Genesis has unveiled the world's first facial recognition technology on a car at the legendary Saloon Privé, hope I pronounced that right, London event. Face Connect uses facial technology to lock and unlock the new Genesis GV60 electric SUV, allowing drivers to ditch their car keys and travel light. A small sensor is positioned on the car door, and with the driver simply looking at the sensor, the car's technology will unlock the doors. Drivers will only apparently need to use the physical key once when setting up their unique profile to set up the entry technology. And once that has been set up, drivers can use their fingerprint to start the car, removing the need for a key altogether. With the fingerprint, the car will automatically recall any preference they have, including the seat position, phone contacts, speaker volume and popular map locations. The information is stored securely through encrypted software in the vehicle, with Genesis assuring drivers that no biometric data is uploaded or stored remotely. The GV60 is Genesis' first electric car with the impressive range of up to 321 miles, although my C3 can do a bit more than that anyway, and can charge from 10 to 80% in just 18 minutes. The South Korean brand has also used keyless car entry with its Digital Key 2.0 feature through a connected smartphone. When approaching the car, the phone will connect to the car and turn on the puddle lamps and open the side mirrors. By standing at the back of the car for 3 seconds, the boot will automatically open, and drivers also having the chance to share the key with up to 4 people. Andrew Pilkington, Managing Director of Genesis Motor Group UK, said this application of facial recognition and biometric technology of the Genesis GV60 is bringing not just Genesis but the entire industry into the next generation of motoring. To be honest, I don't really think there's any need for facial technology. I mean, while it does sound quite cool, as long as obviously it's not uploaded anywhere and it's only stored on the vehicle, it kind of already works, doesn't it? If you've got a contactless key fob in your pocket, or maybe a Tesla keycard or whatever. Even apps on some people's phones just let them unlock their car with the phone in their pocket and using Bluetooth. And thinking about it, this, if anything, could actually be more of a pain in the arse. Because if your car, I'm guessing, isn't pristinely clean, or a seagull or bird or whatever takes a massive dump on the sensor, it's not exactly going to work then, is it? Or what if you're carrying a load of shopping like this and you have to sort of balance it to look in the sensor so it recognises you and then open the door? And yes, I know what you're going to say. Well, you can go to the boot in that case, but that could be a pain in the bum itself, having to wait 3 whole seconds before it automatically opens. Okay, fair enough, 3 seconds isn't exactly long, as my girlfriend often tells me. But anyway, it does make me wonder as well, how accurate is it going to be if you're walking up to the car and it's raining, or if it's a windy day and blows your hair across your face or whatever. And therefore it's actually unnecessary, isn't it? Especially when phone unlocking or keyless entry or whatever becomes more mainstream than what it is now. Even a fingerprint unlock might be more convenient, although to be honest, that adds an extra step than just opening a door with a keyless entry card, doesn't it? Because no doubt you'll have to touch something first. No doubt, of course, as well, instead of letting people buy the technology, they'll probably do what a lot of other car companies seem to do nowadays and bolt on as some sort of monthly subscription, rather than just letting you buy it outright, which is actually a pretty slippery slope to go down, isn't it? And the costs could soon add up, couldn't they? Also, thinking about it, how secure is this actually going to be? If someone looks very similar to you, or, I don't know, you may have an evil twin or something like that. I mean, we've had Face ID on iPhones for years, haven't we? As far as I'm aware, with twins, they still occasionally have trouble. To be honest, I think it's probably back to the drawing board with this, even though admittedly, we haven't got the price of it yet. No doubt, of course, it'll probably be worth a small fortune. And until EVs in general go under 20 grand, then I can't really see this rolling out fast anytime soon. Now, I have been told that subscribe button down there will only let awesome people push it, so why not give it a try and see if it will let you? A pensioner has been left bloodied and bruised after tripping over an optical illusion cycle lane that has now claimed 60, that's right, 60 victims. Dave Dawson, who is 76, is the latest casualty of the curbed cycle lane in the High Street in Keesham, Somerset. Some 59 people have been injured on the street since the cycle lane was installed last year, according to council figures. Mary Richmond, who is 71, broke her shoulder in 2 places after a fall from the curb last year. The lane has been blasted for its confusing line design, which hides a 2-inch drop from the pavement onto the cycleway. An apparent optical illusion has confused pedestrians who believe the pavement and cycleway are on the same level. They then, of course, trip up as they step off the pavement. Mr. Dawson was seen falling into the road before bystanders came to help him up. His hands were left bloodied from the fall. He said, "I stepped with my right foot on the edge of the pavement because it looked okay, and I lost my balance and fell down. I cut the palms off my hand and my knees a bit because the surface of the cycle lane is very sharp." Confusingly though, in some places there is no drop at all between the pavement and the cycle lane. Mr. Dawson said he then went on to trip a second time in the same day, even after watching his step. But you can hear him now, can't you? Loads of cyclists no doubt saying, "Well, he shouldn't have gone in my lane." The thing is though, let's face it, cyclists just love to seem to remind us that they don't have to use cycle lanes and can just ride in the middle of the road if they so choose to. And obviously if you are walking past someone, there may be a time where you need to just go quickly into the cycle lane, obviously looking first to make sure a cycle isn't coming. But to be honest, this isn't exactly the first time I've seen something like this. There's a road in Great Yarmouth called Regent Road, and that used to have this wibbly-wobbly design, which was a similar thing where it looked like it was all on the same level, but unfortunately actually wasn't. And what they did, they must have got so many complaints because they evened it out and graduated it down. Surely the town planners could hopefully put all their brain cells together to try and work out how to do it. And if not, just, go down to Regent Road in Yarmouth and try and copy that. It does make me wonder, though, how many drinks they had before designing something like this, because surely they must have realised that if you have certain points where it is at the same level as the pavement above, and you have a line which at certain angles does seem like it's on the same level, then people are going to think it is on the same level. I can't now understand why it's taken them so long to do something about this, even if they do something at all, that is, because no doubt, of course, they've probably been sued up to the eyeballs with the amount of people that have done Superman impressions when trying to walk down the road, and then of course landed on their bum. Which, let's face it, if a bike was coming, that could actually ended up quite a lot worse for people, couldn't it? But going back to EVs, in this video, it's apparently come out that you'll be paying roughly around 50% more for something that I'm just guessing the dealers wouldn't really want to tell you about. Anyway, subscribe for more and I'll see you in the next one.